Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nick Nickum, and today we are going to look at some of the conditions that cause chest pain. So, let's begin. So, what are the conditions that cause chest pain? It can be divided into two main groups. The first one is the cardiovascular group. The second one is the non-cardiovascular group. In the cardiovascular group, it could be angina, it could be from a heart attack, it could be from pericarditis, or it could result from myocarditis. Aortic dissection can cause chest pain, mitral valve prolapse, and aortic stenosis also can cause chest pain. From the non-cardiovascular group, we have pleurisy, hiatal hernia, acid reflux, costochondritis, myocarditis, esophageal spasm, pulmonary embolus, and pneumothorax. Let us look at each one of these conditions individually and how we can differentiate one from the other. Let's talk about angina and heart attack, which are sort of caused by the same condition. Angina and heart attack are caused by what is known as atherosclerosis, or a buildup of a plaque inside an artery that is supplying the heart muscle. There are two main arteries that supply the heart muscle, the right coronary artery and the left coronary artery. And when there is a plaque buildup inside an artery, and when the blockage is greater than 70%, that reduces the blood circulation to the heart muscle, and that causes chest pain. Angina is nothing more than a chest pain caused by exertion, and it is relieved by rest. And it is usually caused by 70% or greater narrowing of a coronary artery supplying the heart muscle. In case of angina, the chest pain is related to exertion and it is relieved by rest. There is no permanent damage to the heart muscle. Whereas in case of a heart attack, there is usually a greater than 90% blockage in the artery, and the last 5 to 10% blockage is caused by a blood clot, which leads to complete occlusion of a coronary artery that can cause the death of the heart muscle supplied by that artery, and that results in heart attack. Generally speaking, angina pectoris lasts for 5 to 6 minutes and it is relieved by rest, whereas a classic heart attack pain is unmistakable. A heart attack pain is very severe. It is located in the chest. It is associated with nausea, shortness of breath, sweating, palpitations, sometimes fainting. When this pain persists for more than 10 minutes or longer, the best thing is to get to the emergency room, because 50% of the people who have heart attack drop dead. So if you want to survive a heart attack, the first thing you need to do is dial 911, get help, and get to the nearest medical facility as quickly as possible. So that's about heart attack and angina. Let's look at the next cause. Here's an example of a blood clot blocking the artery on top of a plaque that results in a damage to the heart muscle, which is known as the heart attack, and that's where you're going to get that severe chest pain I talked about. The next condition is known as pericarditis. The heart is covered by a very thin sheet known as the pericardium. There are two layers of the pericardium, one which is plastered to the muscle and another one which is outside the muscle, and in between these two layers there's a thin fluid column. So it acts like a lubricant when the heart is moving during the pumping action. When this pericardium gets inflamed, most of the time, which is caused by a virus, that produces chest pain. And this chest pain is related to position, and this chest pain is also aggravated by deep breathing or coughing. Generally speaking, the pericarditis pain is sort of dull, nagging, persistent pain, and it is related to respirations. It usually responds to anti-inflammatory agents such as Advil or Indocin, and it resolves within 3 to 4 days. So that is pericarditis. The second worst condition related to cardiovascular problems is what is known as the aortic dissection, or a tear in the main artery that is supplying the blood to the body. When there is a tear in the main artery, blood seeps into that false cavity that is created, that compresses the artery, and it can compress the artery supplying the heart muscle. As a result, it causes severe chest pain and perhaps collapse. Unless these patients reach the hospital in a very short period of time and an appropriate diagnosis is made and the patient is taken to the surgery to fix this aortic dissection, the mortality is extremely high, in a range of 70 to 80%. So if you are having a severe, like a tearing chest pain and sweating, I would recommend you go to the emergency room, because it could be a sign of aortic dissection. A milder form of chest pain is caused by what is known as the mitral valve prolapse. Here, between the left upper chamber and the left ventricle, we have a valve known as the mitral valve. It is a 2-leaflet valve. Normally it closes in a straight line, but in patients with mitral valve prolapse, where the leaflets are really loose and lax, as a result they bulge into the left atrium. Mitral valve prolapse is associated with vague chest pain. It is associated with palpitations. Sometimes people have irregular heartbeats, and generally this is not a life-threatening situation. In very rare cases, the mitral valve prolapse can get worse, causing severe regurgitation or leak across the valve, in which cases we may need surgery. But for a majority of the patients, the mitral valve prolapse just produces some vague chest pain, and they are generally controlled by beta blockers such as atenolol or metoprolol. The main thing that you need to be concerned about mitral valve prolapse is whenever you go for a procedure such as a dental procedure or any other procedure, you need to take antibiotic prophylaxis to prevent infection of the heart valve. Another condition that causes chest pain is known as the aortic valve. This is the aortic valve that separates the left ventricle from the main artery, which we are not seeing here. And this aortic valve can get narrowed, calcified, and stiff, and it reduces the blood circulation to the heart muscle. That can cause chest pain, especially with exertion. Now let's look at some of the non-cardiovascular conditions that cause chest pain. This is an example of a chest pain caused by what is known as the hiatal hernia. You probably have heard this term, hiatal hernia. Basically, hiatal hernia is just bulging of part of this stomach into the chest cavity that is above the diaphragm, and this is usually related to a weakness in the diaphragm. As a result, this part is pushed into the chest cavity, which sort of compresses the heart, and along with compression of the heart and acid reflux, it causes chest pain. It is generally expressed as heartburn, and it usually responds to antacids. You may have to elevate your bed head end in the night to prevent this acid from getting into the esophagus. That can irritate and cause chest pain. And here's an example of acid reflux. And there is a muscular sphincter or a valve that squeezes the foot pipe, the esophagus. As a result, the acid from the stomach does not get into the foot pipe. However, when there is weakness in this foot pipe, then acid can get into the esophagus, irritate the lower end of the esophagus, cause ulceration, and that can lead to acid reflux. Another condition that can cause chest pain is known as the spasm of the foot pipe, Occasionally, we can get spasm of the foot pipe, and it may look like a corkscrew on an X-ray. That usually responds to muscle relaxants and antacids. Usually, acid reflux gives a sort of a heartburn, and it may be related to meals, and it is generally relieved by antacids. Another serious condition is known as the pulmonary embolus, or blood clots going into the main arteries supplying the lungs, causing chest pain. Where do we get these blood clots from? Generally, these blood clots come from the lower part of the body, especially the legs, and from the abdomen. From there, they travel into the inferior vena cava, into the right atrium. Then from the right ventricle, it gets into the pulmonary artery. When there is a massive pulmonary embolus, it can block off one or both segments of the artery, which can be fatal. Whenever there is a chest pain, and this is usually diagnosed with a CAT scan, if there is any evidence of blood clot, then most patients are placed on blood thinners for 3 to 6 months or longer, depending upon the severity of the blood clotting problem. This condition is known as pulmonary embolus that can cause severe chest pain, and this can mimic heart attack. Sometimes even the electrocardiograms can look like the person is having a heart attack, but a CAT scan might show evidence of blood clots, which is very important to differentiate before we can implement appropriate treatment. Here's a condition known as pleurisy. Pleurisy, similar to the pericarditis I talked about, there is a sheath that covers the lung on both sides. This sheath also acts like a lubricant because when the lungs expand, it prevents them from getting damaged. When this sheath gets inflamed, which is usually caused by a virus, that causes pleurisy. Pleurisy is very typical, where people get sharp chest pain on both sides of the chest, and it is usually related to respirations. As a result, you're not able to take a deep breath. There is really no specific test that can be done to diagnose pleurisy. It is just based on symptoms, and usually the pleurisy responds to anti-inflammatory agents such as Advil or Indocin, similar to the way patients respond when they have pericarditis. And here's one more condition that is known as pneumothorax, or air accumulation inside a chest cavity that can cause severe chest pain, mimicking pulmonary embolus or myocardial infarction or a heart attack. This is generally seen in young people where there is a spontaneous rupture of one of the lung segments. As a result, there is air leak that gets trapped inside this cavity, and it continues to expand. That is because the damage in the lung acts like a one-way valve. As a result, every time you breathe, the air gets into this pleural cavity, but it cannot get back into the lung, and it builds into what is known as tension pneumothorax. This can easily be diagnosed with a simple chest X-ray, and by placing a chest tube that will decompress the pleural cavity, removing the air and allowing time for the lung tissue to heal so that there is no more air leak. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is in a nutshell various causes for chest pain, which are broadly divided into cardiovascular conditions and non-cardiovascular conditions. There are a few conditions which are extremely dangerous. They are an emergency, namely heart attack, aortic dissection, pneumothorax, or pulmonary embolus. You start off with your primary doctor. If they are not able to diagnose, then you should see a specialist so that all these conditions are considered and ruled out before reaching an appropriate diagnosis. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Nick Nickham. That is in a nutshell looking at conditions that cause chest pain. It needs a systematic analysis of symptoms, a careful physical examination combined with electrocardiogram, chest X-ray, CAT scan, and blood tests, which will eventually help us to pinpoint the diagnosis and implement appropriate treatment. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time. I am Dr. Nick Nickum for Triple N Media.